It's on AM 1220. Sorry, it gets to me. Your hometown station. Look, our job here is to help you. I don't know, enlighten you maybe, get out of debt, manage your money, plan for your future. 1220 AM. Uh, KHTS has been around a long time, and their job and our show really is focused on a few things. Number one, in your retirement, there are ways, there are times, there are problems when things can go off track. And not only can they go off track a little bit, but the last thing you want to do is go back to work when you're 74 or 82.
Right.
We have seen time and again that people will make big mistakes. And the mistakes that they make, when I say big mistakes, are mistakes that we don't have time to recover. We cannot go back and make the time count for you. So let me have Jeff Gerard join us here. Jeff Gerard, Total Financial Solutions. Hi.
Hey there. Thanks for having me, Arif. You bring up some great points. I actually just had a conversation with someone last night, someone in their early 30s. I thought they were in their 20s, but certainly wise beyond their years. They were explaining to me that their peers don't think about retirement. She was saying, just kind of tongue-in-cheek, that she gets made fun of because she's so focused on retirement planning. And she thought, I've got about 30 years to do this right. And I thought, wow, that's really profound, because so many young people, whether it's you consider young, 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s, if they're not focused properly on retirement, they do face the truth of either having to not have the privilege of retiring or having to go back to work. Can you imagine? And these were some of the things we were talking about last night. Can you imagine being retired for 10 years? Let's say you retired at 60, 65, right? You thought life was golden. And 75, you realize you're running out of money.
Yeah, you're healthier than you thought. Statistically, you probably will live longer than your parents for all sorts of reasons. Number one is your parents probably ate eggs and bacon and for breakfast.
Yep.
They had a T-bone steak every night, or beef.
Sure.
All the stuff that we should enjoy today in moderation back then was called normal. Today you're having berry and spinach shakes with a power boost scoop of whatever protein, and we're doing things differently. In addition to all that, physically, today physically you spend a lot more time in the outdoors. Today physically, the conveniences of escalators and elevators are no longer what we call a convenience. People are parking further away. They're taking the stairs. So physically, you're able to move a little bit more, and that means you're going to live longer. Now, a lot of folks, I spoke to a lady this morning, she's 67 years old, and she said, Arif, I never plan on retiring. I said, wow, why? And she said, well, let me make something very clear to you. And she's a single lady, divorced now. She said, the person you decide to marry affects the rest of your life. And I made a bad decision.
Wow.
It's like, wow. Can you tell my kids? The person you choose to marry affects the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. And if you don't make a good decision, certainly in retirement, it can and will impact you. And in her case, it impacts not only her housing. She has a nice job. She has a good job, but she's not going to retire at any time soon, maybe in 10 years, but it's pushed off a little bit. So what are some of the things that can help you or make you get off track? Number one is helping your kids. For a lot of you, and I can't imagine kids doing this. I don't know, maybe because I'm focused in the financial world. But there are children out there, 40s and 30s and 50s, who should understand that mom and dad are living check to check. They're diminishing their retirement account. They might look good, they might act good, but why in the daylights are you accepting $5,000? Let alone parents, why are you giving your 35-year-old or 45-year-old son or daughter any money? That's not the way. I get the guilt trip, especially if you've been divorced and it was your decision to leave, even if it was the right decision. I don't know that. But there's a guilt thing that happens, and you think by paying your children and you're saying sorry for that, for this. No, don't do that. Unless you have lots of money and you don't mind giving away a little bit, I don't care. But for most of you, we don't find out you made a bad decision until you're 74 years old. And it's too late because you don't feel like you want to wake up at 6 o'clock every morning to leave the house by 7, to be at work by 8. Most of you don't want to do that in your 70s. So keep the guilt trip off to the side. You want to do that, make them a pie.
Well, and certainly there are instances where you want to help one time, or maybe your kids, they've had a run of bad luck, right, or a series of unfortunate events. Maybe they're getting their life on track. Maybe they had a divorce or a health
Zero times
or a
is
health
Arif's
issue.
decision.
Well, but there are times where a hand up versus a hand out can make a difference in someone getting back on track.
Zero times is Arif's decision. Unless you expect to inherit money from your parents and you're like, oh, listen, I'll pay it forward. Got it. But you have 10 years, 15 years left of working. They have 40. Tell them to go get a stinking loan. Go borrow from, the loan shark on the corner. The problem is this, you guys. We have built in this decision for people. I'm dealing with it this morning. A 67-year-old lady. I said, how are you? I have a son and a daughter. Wonderful. But I don't expect them to help me. I said, why? She said, well, they still ask for help from me. I said, oh, gosh, what do they do? And they're both professionals with college degrees. They both are making good money. Now, they expect you to help them because you help them. Just be very careful. You want to buy them a nice Christmas present, $500 Christmas present, do it. Unless you're going to ask them to pay it back. And most of you won't. Just be careful. Giving too much money too early. You want to make them a beneficiary of a life insurance policy? I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Just make sure you lock the doors at night and keep one eye open.
Well, yeah, and oftentimes what happens is this becomes a pattern. Whether you think it's one or two or three little instances, it does become a pattern. Then you become the bank of mom or dad.
Well, listen, there should be... look, I'm back to this. If you have $1 million and you want to give your kids $50,000, I'm okay with that. But the guilt trip that they put on you, or the shame that they should feel by taking your money and not paying it back. Look, you want to lend them money? I'm okay with that. They pay it back with interest. You want to keep it in a side account for your grandchildren? Do it. But everybody can work 3 jobs. I did. I worked 3 days to sleep in my car. Not because I didn't have a house, but because it took me an hour and a half, hour plus to go to work and school, or between work and home. Well, that was difficult. So keep in mind that your family's financial life, you're not on your own, right? If you're going to be on the street, look at all of these homeless people. We have a massive problem in LA. You're telling me they're not somebody's child? And they're not somebody's parent? I don't know. They're at least somebody's child. I figured that part out from biology. But I don't know if they're anybody's parent.
Yeah.
And if they made decisions and choices to be on the street, directly or indirectly because of their choices, right? Then you have to be very careful. You have to protect yourself. I'm sure those folks lived in a house at one point. I'm sure they lived in an apartment one day. So be very careful. Okay. There's another problem that we see now and again.
Well, I know it's really prestigious and cool and it's sexy to have a second home, a vacation home, whatever you want to call it, a retirement home. But I'm starting to see more and more people will take a step into a second home because they're planting the seed, right? They think that at some point they're going to live in this home for retirement. But now what are they doing? They're straddling this very dangerous line, which is they have maybe a primary residence, right? And they're looking at managing their finances based on that and affording that part in their lifestyle, and then they're trying to afford this second home,
right,
instead of saving for retirement. Now they may say, and here's what I always hear, well, homes always go up in value, so It's always going to be an asset. Really? Unless you live in it, and then it's a cost to you.
Even if you pay off the house, guys, you don't think the only way California is going to fix this mess, in my opinion, is to tax the property. Why? Because that's the only thing you can't take out of state. You can take your residency out of state, which means your pension and your 401k income is all going to be taxed at whatever whatever tax rate your new state has, which is 0 if you're in Texas or Nevada or Washington State or Wyoming, or right. Those states have Tennessee, Alaska. Those states have 0 income tax. If that is your residency, and you are in your vacation home in Santa Clarita, or you're at your vacation home in Palmdale or Mission Hills, then they're not going to get any money from your pension. They're not going to receive any income tax from your 401k withdrawal. So what will they do? Well, jobs are leaving at record number. I think we're at 300 net people leaving the state. It's about 360 a day leaving the state of California.
Wow.
Now you might say, good riddance, go, illegal aliens leave. No, it's not them, folks. They want the free stuff. They want the sanctuary city. You can live pretty nicely. If you declare poverty and everything, it's about $3,000 a month in benefits and housing and food. $3,000 a month for not working. Everybody would take a bus, one-way trip to Santa Monica. They used to do that. When I was a policeman in West LA Division, we'd ask people, where are you from? Ohio. Where are you from? Kentucky. Like, son of a gun, these people are all from... Then we found out that what judges would say is, look, this is the 8th time you've been arrested for, sleeping in public, whatever you're doing in public, right? So you're going to go to jail, or you get a one-way Greyhound bus ticket to Santa Monica. What would you do if you're living in Ohio winters? You get on the bus and go.
Yeah.
Go west, young man. And they do.
Where the weather's good, at least.
And you get off at the bus depot a couple blocks from the beach. And in Santa Monica, I'm not sure if they do it today, but they did. They feed you twice a day on the City Hall lawn, free meals. Twice a day.
Did Santa Monica know this?
Yeah, the citizens, of course.
They were good with it, huh?
So what you end up with is a scenario where there's just a disproportionate number of people here. They're going to tax them. They're going to tax you to feed them. So in my opinion, that second home, if it's not out of state, and if it's not in a place, then your home here is probably going to be assessed. Now here's what they'll do. They're not going to call it a property tax, just like Obamacare. The reason Obamacare got through the Supreme Court was because it was a fee, an assessment fee. Mandatory fee, I don't know the difference between that and a tax.
One gets voted on.
Yeah,
the
that's
other one
John
just
Roberts.
Gets passed into law.
Yeah, so that's what happened, right? It was one vote that swayed it one way or the other, and it was the Chief Justice, a Republican appointee, by the way, who was the reason that Obamacare went through and was approved. So all that to say is, don't expect any help from politicians or one political party or the other. They both are going to want to keep their jobs. They both are going to want your money. So I expect property taxes to go up in some form or fashion.
Well, and the other thing when you're looking at a property out of state is that you're creating a little bit of diversity as well, because I mean, while the real estate market can ebb and flow basically together, but I mean, there are different values across different parts of the country and different reasons to have properties in different parts of the country. One might look at this as an opportunity to say, okay, like I said earlier, plant the seed. I know that I want to retire in this other state someday, but maybe the goal is to, A, sell the home that I'm leaving in California or wherever it is, or leave it as a rental property. A home is only an asset to you if it's producing income, and you have to do that by, you're not going to take drywall, as Arif says, drywall off the property and go take it to the grocery store or to the gas station. So you have to have it producing income for you via a renter, or maybe it's a strategy where you're going to let it go up in value and sell it later, but then you're taking a risk there too. So just be really careful when you're leveraging yourself into second, even third homes. We've seen it decimate people's retirement back in the mid-2000s when people had no business having rental properties, and they had 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 properties.
And they leveraged,
crazy, right?
you borrowed one from the other, from the
Right.
other, and you had built up such a false sense of wealth because you counted money that wasn't in your bank account or in your retirement accounts, and the equity was wiped away in a very, very, very short period of time. So in your retirement accounts, our job is to keep some or protect all, whatever it is, of your retirement money, but to keep it safe, to keep it from going backwards when the market goes backwards, to keep it from going backwards when we've had a recent run of the stock market dropping through the floor. Now, that's nice if you have 30 years to retirement. But if you're within 5 or 10 years of retirement and you've not received a call from your broker in the last 2 weeks, ask yourself why. Because what? They think that the market is going to go back up? Well, great. They should start selling lotto tickets if they're that good. Hey, you mystery man. But mostly it's because they have no clue what to do. Not because they're bad, but remember, they don't get paid if your money isn't at risk. The brokerage world has to have your money in the market. It has to have your money at risk in order to get paid. Otherwise, there's a whole infrastructure of secretaries and leases and electric bills that all have to be paid. And that's a huge problem when you're trying to create guaranteed retirement income for you and your family.
And would you be comfortable paying a fee if somebody had your money just sitting on the sideline not earning interest? No, their job is to put it out there and hopefully manage it properly and grow it without losing it. But that's not always the case, is it?
No, it's not. And your family's finances are really going to be built on two things. It's going to be built on guarantees, right? Because if you had a position where your pension plan, you said, oh, I have a pension plan, and that pension plan was going to or was able to go backwards every month. Hey, this month you get 4,000. Oh, sorry, next month you're going to get 3,200. Hey, the next month it's 4,800. You wouldn't like that pension plan.
Not one bit.
If Social Security did that, you wouldn't like that. So why do you have your retirement accounts going up and down? That's a huge risk. If you are into retirement 5 or 10 years, especially if you retired when the market's at near record highs, that's a little scary because you've built your spending habits, you've built your expectations, you've built your debt, whatever debt scenario you have, based on the numbers that you retired at. And when all of a sudden those numbers aren't the same as you thought because the market has dropped, but you can't go back and get rid of a 20-year RV loan. You can't go back and eliminate your 15-year vacation home on the river, on the lake, right? You're 6 years into that. What are you going to do? So the expenses that go along with that, we want to lock down that guarantee. That's what we do. We get guarantees worth of income, of monthly income, where we're not worried about you going backwards. Another big problem that we see is too much debt. We see people carry that into retirement. You can't do that.
And we've been talking about this for as long as we've been on the show. I mean, it's really the thing, I think, the silent killer that people don't realize, because it's very easy to nickel and dime yourself when it comes to the outflow of your expenses. Here's what I mean. You have that, $10 a month subscription to, a digital TV service. Then you have this $3 for your cloud storage on your phone. And then you're helping pay your cell phone bill, your kid's cell phone bill. And, we bundled, so we saved money on that. And now all these little things are dripping into your finances. And really the key, I think, to making sure that doesn't happen is in the 5 years before you're retiring, really look at your expenses. At the 3-year mark, I want you to really start drilling down and paying this off, because paying that debt as close to zero as possible, the big debt, right? Like the RVs, some of the big ticket items out there, having that carry into retirement, that can be a big problem. Now, a mortgage, you might carry that through the rest of your life. While money's cheap, hey, borrow it. But these high interest rates, these high payments, they're going to start taking away from your income. That just really takes away from your paychecks, is the way I see it.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Those first 10 years of retirement, it's usually the go-go years. That's the time that we've heard it said where you're going nonstop, you're doing things, you're traveling, you're doing the things that you really wanted to do before. So physically you're active, but you also tend to spend the same or even a little more money depending on your lifestyle. Yeah. Years ago it was, and it's funny that the myth continues, but years ago it was, expect to live on 80% of your money in retirement. Well, I guess if you're going to sit in a rocking chair, I guess if your home is paid off, I guess if you're going to not travel too far outside of your home city. But a lot of those things have changed. Today you can have lunch in one city and dinner in another. I've seen it. You can have breakfast in California, you can have dinner in New York, and the next day you can have lunch in London. Do you realize how it's just money? It's all it is. It's a money thing, right? It's not a huge problem. It's only money. So how do you protect that? You have to do so in a way that keeps you and your family safe. So that's what we do. Our job is to keep your money safe. We use fixed products. We use guarantees. We use contracts, not the speculation.
Well, and that's nice because now you have some predictability in your retirement. And the reliable retirement income scenario is really what people will base their success off of. At least I think have the best chance at it. Just like Arif said, your Social Security check doesn't go up and down, and where you have this guesswork. Why would you do the same thing with your retirement account? Having that predictability, I think, is the key to making sure that your retirement years are nice and smooth.
Yeah, that gives you multiple sources of income that are not correlated. For a lot of people, they have a pension that comes from a company. As long as the company's doing well or the pension plan's doing well, that should continue. But if there's a problem there, if the city has to readjust its pension plan, if the county or the state or the company, that can affect your retirement. I'd like you to plan on retiring. If you are still in your 50s or 60s, if you are planning on retiring, then make sure it's on 75% of that pension If you can do it on 75%, fantastic. If you are expecting $4,000 a month in a pension and you can live and everything works on $3,000 a month, no problem. You might still get $4,000, maybe you always will. But I don't want you to be in a position to have them say, hey, surprise, folks, here's what I expect to happen when it gets bad. This is just Arif playing pretend for a minute. What I expect to happen is the state, the city, the county, because the governor and the state legislature in California today, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but if you took a list of all the things you're supposed to do to really mess up a state and really drive us into financial insolvency, they're doing it. It's bizarre. Raising taxes, punishing this. So people just leave, right? We're the United States. You don't have to work in one state. Today with FedEx and fax machines and UPS and scanning and email and FaceTime, you don't have to be here. So what that's doing is it's driving the revenue outside of the state of California. It's not a secret, right? We're losing many people every day. Here's the challenge. I think they're going to come to you and say, I know you've worked for the state for 32 years. I know you've worked for the county for 47 years. It doesn't matter. We are going to take, based on your age, whatever, we're going to take a percentage of your money. We're going to put it off to the side. Let's say 15%. You'll still get it, and we're going to give you a guarantee of 5% return. But you can't touch it for 5 years. So we're not going to pay you. We're going to take $1,000 out of your $4,000 a month, and we're going to put it off to the side. And we will give you a guarantee of a 5% interest rate. And we're going to bank that money. And in 5 years, we'll give it back to you in payments, if we agree, if things change. I bet you that's what they're going to do. And you're going to be mad, and you're going to sue, and then the state will go into a bankruptcy type scenario, and the judge will say, you either take that deal or whatever deal I make, which is exactly what happened to United Airline pilots. It happened to countless companies. It happened to TWA. TWA did the opposite of United Airlines. TWA said, oh, we want it. Well, all the employees at TWA said, all right, fine, let the judge decide. And the judge says, you get nothing. So you had worked there for 15, 20, 25 years, and you received almost nothing. United Airlines saw the writing on the wall. They said, okay, we'll take, ready? A 60% pay cut, 60. Wow. Or they would get what TWA received. Remember that? So I don't know that that's going to happen. I believe it will. It's my feelings. It's my thought, because it's math and logic. And I think the state of California is purposely driving us down a road that is kind of self-destructive. So anyway, that's what I think. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. We're going to continue. That's Jeff Gerard. I'm Arif Halaby on your place for news, talk, and information. This is KHTS, your hometown station.
Santa Clarita Valley has a long history of safe, reliable water service. SCV Water is dedicated to increasing efficiencies, protecting our vital resources, and improving their customers' experiences. That's you. Meet them at their new home on the web at yourscvwater.com. There, you can find the latest news, rebates, and much more. That's yourscvwater.com. They can't wait to serve you.
Little Eye Leaders is the newest preschool in the Santa Clarita Valley. At Little Eye Leaders, our outstanding teachers lead with intellect, perspective, and heart. That means our programs provide a warm, nurturing atmosphere to meet the unique needs of each child. We believe that play is a powerful form of learning for young children. That's why our kids have every opportunity to learn through the magic and excitement of play. Parents, schedule a tour today by calling 303-0400 or online at littleeyeleaders.org.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
Indulge yourself in the world of wine at the 6th Annual Sierra Pelona Valley Wine Festival, Saturday, April 21st from noon till 4 p.m., benefiting the Zonta Club of SCV. Get your Chardonnay on with live music, gourmet food, handmade crafts, and the best local wine Santa Clarita has to offer at Reyes Winery. Dionysus dilettantes, and wine connoisseurs alike will enjoy this festival. Sponsored by Reyes Winery, Pepsi, Anheuser-Busch, main stage sponsor SCV Advanced Audiology, and VIP sponsors California Bank and Trust and Mercedes-Benz of Valencia. Visit reyeswinery.com to purchase tickets.
When you're looking for a midnight snack, sometimes fast food just doesn't cut it. California Bakery and Cafe is open 24/7, so you'll be able to find fresh donuts, danishes, bagels, all-natural fruit juices, gourmet sandwiches, and much more at any hour. With elaborate cakes for any occasion, including weddings, baptisms, anniversaries, corporate events, or any special event. California Bakery and Cafe in Santa Clarita is open 24 hours to satisfy any craving, anytime. Call us, 255-1254. That's 255-1254.
First impressions say it all. Choosing the right makeup is critical to that first impression and keeping your skin looking young and healthy. That's why Santa Clarita's Jen Gerard created Gerard Cosmetics. Inspired by women of all ages who gravitate toward classic and timeless beauty with a modern twist, Gerard Cosmetics. Superb quality and pigmentation, along with lip glosses and lipsticks in colors for everyone. The internationally acclaimed Gerard Cosmetics. Discover your new look at GerardCosmetics.com.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
I just want to send a shout out to all my customers. It's Dave Reeves from Reeves Complete Auto Center in Canyon Country.
Reeves, Santa Clarita's choice for quality customer and automotive care.
I've been in automotive service my whole life. I learned customer service and honest communication make the difference.
Reeves, where customers matter.
I really appreciate your business and hope to serve you in the future. Thank you very much.
Reeves, on Ruther in Canyon Country.
This is your place for news, talk, and information, your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Hey, welcome back to the show, Total Financial Solutions. I'm Arif Halaby, that's Jeff Gerard. This is your hometown station, KHTS. All right, we're talking about your family's finances, some things that can get you, it can cause you a few problems when you're ready to retire, right? One is, I don't want you to get into some risky financial investment schemes. Let me give you a good example. You might have $500,000 in your retirement account. Maybe in your pension is paying you nicely and you have $500,000. So in your mind, you treat that $500,000 in your IRA as if it is a savings account. Now you have $500,000 earning interest. So if you called up and said, send me a check, you probably would receive around $300,000 because you have to pay state and federal income tax. So you don't really have $500, you have $300. But what's the job of that $300? If the job of that money, or the $500, if the job of that money is to just take it out and spend it, well then fine. But if the job of that money is to give you a monthly income stream, and you're going to pull out, $25,000 a year, then that's all you have is $25,000 a year. You might have $25,000 a year forever, but you do not have $500,000 because in your mind, when your savings account said $2,000, you spent it. Or in your mind, when your checking account said $6,000, you could write your bills. So your retirement account is not a big chunk of money you can just pull out. That's not its job. And I think that's where we have failed as a society, and more importantly, folks, as an education institution. At the very least, if our community college wanted to make an enormous difference, we already make a big difference. I think it's an amazing institution. We have one of the best community colleges, I think, in the country, from what I'm hearing, certainly in the state. We better, because we pay, in my opinion, we overpay to receive it, but we have it. Fine. Why aren't they teaching not basic financial? This is interest. A credit card starts with a C. Right? Not that silliness, but truly how to use it. What is debt? What is good debt? What is bad debt? Don't convince people because the Realtors Association of America says that your home that you live in, your primary home, is an asset. No, it is not. It is not the American dream to buy a house to live in. That was a commercial that they made in the 60s because they had too many homes in the 50s. No joke. That's exactly what it was.
Wow.
So they said it's the American dream. They go, it is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I guess that's my dream too. The American dream is to not owe anybody anything. Oh, but that doesn't work. Because credit card companies wouldn't work. And you couldn't buy that TV. You'd have to wait until you had the money. What? 60 days, same as cash. 9 years, same as cash, whatever they're doing these days. 90 days, really? What's 8 years for a car loan? Because their goal is to keep the payment the same. Don't you worry your pretty little head. It's still $300 a month. It's $300 a month until you're 79 years old, but it's $300 a month.
Right.
So I don't want you, if you taught people in our high schools real things that they're going to use, not this craziness about diversity with transgender, there's 79 different, you can call yourself whatever, call me a tree. That's what I go by today. Well, I thought you believed in science. Because if science was the global warming, then isn't science biology, or did it not? So I don't know. Just believe in science, you believe in science. If you don't, you don't. And we're spending our time letting our kids walk out in school for something they have zero concepts of, most of them. And you haven't taught them how to balance a financial statement, what a profit and loss is. Oh, well, we do, but that's for the business class. Well, that's fine, but then just don't pay the rest of the people in money. If you're going to be an English teacher, pay her in books. Oh, wait, you want to pay her in money? Well, then she darn well better take an English class. I mean, a money class. If you're going to pay the janitor, the carpenter, the electrician in dollars, you better teach them how to run a business. Should you buy or lease a car? I don't know. Should you rent an apartment? So my point is, these folks wake up, go to sleep and wake up 30 years later with a 401k plan that has $500,000 in it, and we're surprised that they're broke by the time they're 79 or 84 years old, at a time when nobody wants to hire them for their same position that they used to have, not because they're bad people, but because technology has changed. And maybe the job doesn't even exist anymore. So you have to manage this money properly, you guys. You have to protect it. Social values, baloney, 1 + 1 is 2. Whether you stand and march on the corner with a sign and believe that it's 4, I don't care. 1 + 1 is 2. It always will be. It always has. I don't care if you feel like it's 7 or you're passionate that 1 + 1 is 19. It's still 2. And that's a very important thing, because when you make absolutes, then the responsibility is no longer somebody else's fault. The scary thing is it becomes your problem. The most beautiful thing, the most important thing with that is that it's your problem, because now you can solve it. It's not the government. It's not the pension people. It's you. And that's a wonderful thing, because if you can solve your own problems, folks, this is a really neat opportunity, because today information is right here in your iPad, in your cell phone, in your tablet, your laptop. It's everywhere. It's here.
Well, and the natural human thing is to deflect when we fail, right? We say, oh, it's because the government is terrible. Oh, the wrong party's in office. Or, oh, you know what, I would have, but I didn't have the same opportunity that other person had. Or, I didn't live on that side of the tracks. So it's really easy to do that. But how incredible is that the power is in our hands? And that's the double-edged sword, right? We can win or lose based on our own efforts.
Yeah, it transfers the responsibility from the rest of the world to you. Yeah. And you're smart because you're listening to this show, right? A lot of these shows out there in the world, we all have an agenda. My agenda is to keep some or part of your money safe, get you out of the stock market, keep you in safer retirement vehicles. That's my agenda. If we can help you, we're right for maybe 70% of the folks. Great, then we can. If not, well, darn it, you still better learn something, and most of you do. And that's a great thing.
But I have to say, to the credit of the people that still live in this world, it's kind of a hybrid, right? We still hope the government will take care of us. We still hope that that our employers are going to take care of our health insurance. We still hope that the government's going to give us our retirement, instead of saying, darn it, I don't want somebody else to take care of all that. Right? So we live in this kind of weird hybrid world where we're still expected in some parts of our life to give up the control of it, and maybe that that's kind of blissful in a way because you don't have to worry if it's going to be good or bad. It just is what it is. But the other parts that you can control, I think you should take full reign of that.
You know what drives me crazy with the news media is spending time on presidential affairs. That, by the way, wasn't when he was a president. It was, 10 years earlier. Who cares? Yeah. Really, who cares?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
We have a $20 trillion. It's not when he was a president. It's not when things were happening in the White House. It's not when he was having sex with an intern, right? The sexual harassment. None of you were talking about that. You never cared before.
Yeah.
This was a consensual relationship 10 years ago. I don't really care. Fix my country. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to be your neighbor. I mean, hey, it'd be nice to meet a president. I don't care. It'd be nice to meet any president. Current, past. That would be cool, right? Hello.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. But I'm not interested in what your views are in every part of my life. You guys, you have a problem. Financially, we are sinking as a state. We have been waving the red flag. I remember, Jeff, when I started talking about this stuff in 1996. In fact, I think it was November or December 1996. And I remember standing up in front of a group of financial people. There was probably 100 of them in the room. And I said, you know, the CalSTRS, the teachers, because we love educators, have been working in their retirement accounts for decades now. I said, the CalSTRS pension plan was $6 billion underfunded back then.
6.
And we were worried about it, and we didn't know how it was going to happen. We were concerned. We didn't know if there was, are the politicians taking it seriously? Some say they are. They're doing their best. They say they're. Today, it's over $200 billion. And that's using phony numbers, meaning they're saying, we expect to earn 7.5% interest. Phony numbers. They're not going to do it. They didn't last year. They never will. They never can. It's not what they're going to do. They're just not set up for that. So if you talk to third-party analysts, they will tell you that we're about, in all of the pensions in the state of California, around $400 billion upside down. So what will happen? They're going to go to the cities, the counties, the states, and say, you guys have to put more money in. And they'll say, well, we can't. And then the employees will say, we will strike. And the city will say, okay, we give in. And then they put more money in. And then you also say, I want the potholes fixed, or we need a new library, or we need to fix the classrooms on the east side of the campus. Sorry, no money.
We all want the money, but where's it going to come from? I think that's the thing we all have to ask ourselves, because if it's going to be pulled from all these other places because of a demand letter or a judgment, it's got to come from somewhere. So something is going to suffer on the other side. It's like that balloon, right? You squeeze it on one side, something's going to inflate on the other. But I don't think we all get that mentally. We think, there's just this infinite amount of money. Just go ahead, print more. No problem.
I think you have to be concerned, guys, only because the people that we have in charge have no clue how to fix it.
Yeah.
And when somebody comes in with radical views, who doesn't care about the next book tour, right? Do you know how much President Clinton gets paid when he goes and speaks in Germany or Russia? He got paid $500 million. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was in office, and her husband was paid $500,000. $500,000. Now you might say, that's not a payoff. That's not a bribe. Okay. I don't believe it.
I saw him flying around in private jets. I used to work in that world.
All you do is pay my wife. Don't pay me.
Yeah.
That'd be okay, since we have a joint bank account. And I can swipe the Visa and this debit card. Right? So listen, if we agree that that's okay, then fine. But do you understand? These are the people that you put in charge. And President Trump comes along and he says, I don't care. I don't need your money. I don't need you to pay me anything to do a speech. I have $4 billion, whatever his numbers are. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I don't need you. Now, I'm not saying he's doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying he's somebody who doesn't care about what you think. His job, he says, is to fix the economy, fix the country, get the military back. And we are in debt by $1 trillion extra.
Yeah.
So somebody has to fix this mess. Because apparently he's not going to fix the debt.
Yeah.
Right? So somebody has to. I don't know who. So I want you to take care of you and your family. I guess I'm trying to make that clear, but please keep in mind the goal for you is to protect you and your family. And these folks that think that they know and they understand and they believe, then just prove it to me. Stop giving away silly stuff. Sit there and go to the state and say, hey, state of California, we have a problem. This high-speed rail thing is a waste of money. We made a mistake. It's not going to do what we thought it was going to do. We said it was $30 billion. Right now it's what, 80? Everybody told them it was going to be more than they said. And the politicians didn't do that. The Democrats on the left came to you and me and they said, vote for this. It's a great thing. Okay. $30 billion. Really, they knew you didn't understand $30 billion. But 30 is a much smaller number than 70. So you bought it. And meanwhile, you're busy looking at who, the Kardashians are hanging out with and what's next on The Bachelor and who's going to win The Voice. And you're worried about all those silly things. And meanwhile, the ship is sinking. So I want you guys to pay attention because nobody, not your broker, not Wall Street, not the government, nobody cares about your financial life like you. Okay, Arif, you offend me. I don't really care. Because if there's 6 people in a room and I offend 2 of them, then whose problem is it? The 2. You don't have to like me. You don't have to work with me. It's okay. I want you to understand somebody's got to tell you the truth. When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of other things that I'm finding that are sinking people's retirement accounts. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do it right here when we return. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard. On your place for news, talk, and information, this is your hometown station, KHTS.
Visiting Angels is looking for quality caregivers and companions to join our growing team of compassionate, caring people providing care and assistance to Santa Clarita seniors. Our Angels help seniors with activities such as meal preparation, light housekeeping, personal care, and running errands. Visiting Angels takes pride in offering competitive wages, benefits, paid training, and flexible schedules. We have clients throughout Santa Clarita so you can work close to home. Details at visitingangels.com/Santa Clarita.
America's choice in home care.
Hi, Kirk Stinson here with Plumbing by Kirk, your hometown plumber. I want to stress to you how important it is to get proper advice on what to do in case of emergencies. Always know where your shutoff valves are to be able to isolate it and have the problem taken care of on regular hours and avoid expensive plumbing bill.
We invite you to visit our website for free plumbing advice at plumbingbykirk.com or give us a call, 263-6519. That's 263-6519.
My dad is the best plumber ever. Plumbing by Kirk.
It's not too late to start your finish at College of the Canyons. They have short-term classes starting in the next few weeks for all kinds of people. People who need weekend classes, people who like photography, people who like rock and roll, stargazers, cartoon lovers, wine enthusiasts, and more. Need flexibility? Check out the online classes they offer. There's never been a better time to start your finish. Visit canyons.edu/class schedule.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Thanks for listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Hey, welcome back to the show, Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. Okay, look, some of the things that we have seen that have derailed your retirement accounts, that have derailed your retirement years, is an investment in a business. Remember, I talked earlier in the show about how we have seen guilt transfer money from the parent to the child. We've seen that all the time, especially if there's a divorce or somebody passes away. We see that a lot. But where I also see in the problem is when they say, Mom, Dad, can you invest in a new business? And the parents are doing fine, but they feel bad about the son because he was laid off, or they feel bad about the daughter because she is no longer married and she's a single mom of 2 kids and she wants to start this business. Instead of doing your due diligence, in other words, if you would give the same money to a stranger with the same business experience, work ethic, temperament, everything, they need $50,000 to start their business. If you would give that to the stranger who is exactly minus the relative portion, then fantastic. But if you're giving it to that person because they are your child and their work ethic is so-so, or their discipline is so-so, or their business knowledge is so-so, then I would say that is something that could and most likely will derail your retirement, because most businesses don't succeed because of a lack of planning.
Well, and that's exactly right, because if this is such a great idea, then why don't they just go ask for funding from a bank?
Right. That's right.
With their, their business plan document and their marketing plan, and show the viability of this business. I mean, heck, if it's that great of an idea and a concept, anybody will loan them money, right?
Well, listen, I was there. We started a business 25 years ago, and we had to borrow from my dad for some of that money.
Sure.
And fortunately, we sold the business after a little less than a year for almost exactly what we had into it. So in other words, we made a little bit of money along the way, but when we liquidated it, we got exactly what we needed. We paid back the loan, and we were done. And that was a pretty scary time. It's like dodging a bullet. You think of yourself like, wow, that was a pretty close call, because the economy was shifting and things were not as good as they could have been. So I've been there. Here's another thing that I want you to watch out for. We call it the solo years, because things change in your Social Security, don't they, Jeff?
They do, and here's what we find a lot of times is, a husband and wife, a couple reaches retirement, and what are they basing their financial life off of? Normally 2 incomes, right? Either they've both worked or they both have some Social Security, maybe some pensions coming in. But the biggest one, which we know is almost a definite in most cases, is the Social Security. What happens when one of you passes away? He was earning $3,000 a month and she was earning $2,000 a month, or $2,500 and $1,500. Guess what? One of you passes away. The living surviving spouse gets the higher of the two, but you just took a $1,500 pay cut in retirement.
And we can use life insurance to fill that gap. But folks, you have to get it young enough when you're still healthy. In other words, probably in your 70s. Right. Don't think you're going to get life insurance when you're 85 after 2 heart attacks. It's very difficult. We can get it when you're younger and fill the gap, so that if one of you pass away, you lose the income, the Social Security income, but they receive a big chunk of money tax-free for their retirement needs or whatever other needs they want to use it for. But we've seen that change, because if you don't plan properly and you were used to living on a certain amount of money, suddenly you start dipping into your savings at record rates, much more than they were originally designed to withstand. And we have seen this also happen. Many of you that are receiving a pension, your spouse doesn't receive 100% of that pension. They usually receive maybe 50% or 75, maybe half or so. So keep that in mind. They're not going to always get all of the money that you necessarily expected.
Well, and that's part of the planning process right there. I was talking about, you got to do this early on, because if you have a choice at 60 years old, let's say, or 60, let's just say 60, to make a decision on your pension distribution, that's an irrevocable decision, right? You can say, okay, I'll take the $4,000 a month, but if I die, my wife or my family gets nothing. Or maybe I want to take a little bit less, and then they'll continue a portion of that to her. Or I might say, I'm going to take half of that, but they're going to continue that same payment, so that we haven't known if I pass away that we'll always be okay, financially speaking, based on that number. Now, the alternative is you can take the higher number, but if you take that higher number, I want you to allocate a portion of that payment to the life insurance part of it. You do it early enough, you can get it inexpensively enough, or at least make it affordable, and you back that number into what you would need if you weren't to survive. And that's the difference. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, and that's important. When I talked about it earlier about you living on 75%, it's another way for you to build your habits around a lower amount of required income. If you have extra money, just like if you received a bonus and you're working, oh, we're going to take a trip. Okay, you would take a trip only because you received an extra $5,000 bonus this year. Okay, that's good. In retirement, it's the same thing. I want your food, shelter, clothing, your medical needs. I want that to be met by the guarantees, that to be met by just one of your Social Security checks and the portion of your pension. And then if there's extra money, great. We could travel. You could buy gifts for the kids and holiday, grandkids. Wonderful. But be very careful about spending that money as if it's coming in as a guarantee every single year, because it may not be. You might be in a position where you're stuck upside down.
Arif, I want to dip back into the previous topic for businesses. When we talk about businesses, what have we seen? Someone is retiring, they have a big chunk of money that they have, and going back to your point of if you have $500,000 that you're supposed to be living off of, if you dip into the till, that either means that you either have to take less money per month or it may not last as long at the same rate in which you're taking it out. What about people that say, hey, I'm retired, I need a hobby. So they take 100, 200,000 of that and they invest in a business that they basically bought a job.
Yes.
Right? They have very little to do with this. They have no real history in this. They haven't been planning for years, possibly. I mean, we just see people kind of do it out of boredom, where they invest in a business with a big lump sum of money, and now that retirement money, the return on that money, is solely dependent on their success in that small business.
And that is very important if you are looking at investing or trying to save or put some of your money in a new area, a new business, something you're unclear with. If your whole life has been as an engineer and you want to open a tire shop, unless you really know a lot about tires, that's a little risky. If you say, listen, I'm okay that I'm going to take a portion of my retirement and I'm going to put it over here because the rest of it can still satisfy my needs in the future, then great. We have a gentleman we met with the other day. He's actually 60. He's an engineer. He sold some things. He inherited some money. He has $7 million. When we did his financial stuff, gosh, you know what? He only needed about $3 million to live the amazing life he wants to live. Great. He says, Arif, I want to invest this thing and invest for $1 million. Great. Enjoy it. It doesn't affect what we're doing. What we're doing is the protection. What we're doing is the guarantees. You want to play with some of your money, go for it. But remember, if it goes backwards, I don't want it to penetrate. In other words, I don't want a lawsuit or you signed your name to a loan for much more money and it starts to dip in your monthly income. That can be a little scary. Those solo years, remember, if one of you passes away, statistically, if both of you reach age 65, there's a 90% chance one of you is going to reach age 90. That's pretty important. If both of you reach age 65, there's a 90% you're going to reach age 90. So, one of you. Now, usually, it's the ladies. Go to the nursing homes. You'll see the one guy in a wheelchair. He's being chased around. He's not always awake, but he is being chased around by all the ladies. Hey, right? Go to some of the dances. You'll see that there's more ladies there than men. So, usually, it's the women that live longer, partly because they are younger. In some cases, certainly back in the day, it wasn't uncommon for a man to marry a lady 5 or 7 years his junior. That's pretty normal. The gentleman that I'm mentioning that is 60 has just remarried to a 30-year-old lady.
Wow.
Yes, I know. That's what everybody said.
Congratulations.
So we can expect for her to live probably 40 years after he passes away when you do the math. Right? That's a whole lifetime.
Wow.
Without her spouse. So you have to plan accordingly, right? Whether you're one of these extremes or the other. Thanks for joining us. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard. You can always give us a call at 888-99-RETIRE. That's 888-99-RETIRE. On your place for news, talk, and information. This is your hometown station, KHTS.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.